All right. We said Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya together. Oh, that's Blush. I thought that was Holly. That's when we know the crew is back, when Holly is back in the morning Bhagavatam. She was here for some time. But what's that? He was a Kartik miracle. And the Kartik miracle, Ben came back too. That was so many, every year Kartik miracles happen. So those were the two most prominent Kartik miracles this year. And actually, Michael, you moved here, so all these things happen during Kartik. So it was very nice. But here we go. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.25. Very important set of teachings and verses. We did these with Maharaj. We're going to do them again because it's so... these are so prominent, these teachings. And if we can just get this, our foundation of bhakti will be fantastic. So Queen Kunti, Arjuna's mother, all the Pandavas' mother.
We did 125, I think.
What's that?
We ended on 125.
We just read the English. We never actually did the purport. And then Maharaj started with 26. And so it was lingering in my heart, like, we skipped 25. This is actually my favorite verse of all the prayers. Yeah, this verse, that what we're doing. So I was very excited, but no problem. So let's do our glorifications of the Bhagavatam together. Rayanam namaskritya ram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye. Michael.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer the respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
Jai. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridyanta Snoya Bhadrani Vidinoti Sarvitsatam. I'll do this one. By regular hearing of Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, the super soul within the heart of each living entity, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the heart of material desires of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous, when properly heard and chanted. So, a couple things. Develop the urge to hear and to chant, Shravana, Punya Shravana Kirtana, and then also Swakatha Krishna, actually wanting to hear the katha of Krishna, hear the talks of Krishna. This is what will cleanse our heart of its icky things that are going to hold us back in the material world. And those icky things lead to problems, miseries, sufferings. So this is the remedy. So of course the verse preceding or that follows that is Nashta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavata yutamashloke bhakti bhavati naishliki. Go ahead, Michael.
By regular attendance on classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Jai. So by Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, what will be established is Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki, which means fixed bhakti, regularly performing bhakti. So regular hearing of this Bhagavatam, actually regularly serving the Bhagavat. So what is the Bhagavat? You have the person Bhagavatam, someone who's trying to represent the teachings of the Bhagavatam, and then you have the actual teachings of the Bhagavatam. And the person who's trying to represent the Bhagavatam, also known as the Guru, the spiritual master, or the different forms of Shiksha Gurus, Vartma Pradarshika Gurus, by serving them, this is how you will, almost all that's troublesome to the heart will be completely destroyed. And there's no chance of it uprooting unless, this is the kicker, you make an offense to the Bhagavat. So either an offense to the actual teachings of the Bhagavat, or you offend the devotee, the representative of the Bhagavat. This is the most dangerous thing, which is why the number one namaparad to avoid is what? Yes, blasphemy of the devotee, which means Vaishnava aparad. And that's a whole subsection of aparad. So this is actually mentioned very much in detail in the Madhurya Kadambini. Maharaj was just going across this teaching, which is actually very nice to hear that Prabhupada Maharaj. There's a lot of, I know in ISKCON it's like almost taboo. Oh, Prabhupada didn't write that. Prabhupada didn't translate out that book, so we should avoid it. But I thought that was very broad-minded of Maharaj to be teaching from the Madhurya Kadambini. It is by our Vaishnavacharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, of course. So anyway, these verses that we're just reciting are mentioned in detail in the Madhurya Kadambini. And what's mentioned is how to really overcome all the troubles is to, one, get yourself fixed in bhakti, and then don't make an offense. From there, that's the main hope. And from there you'll make all kinds of advancement, and that which is just be regularly, nityam, always engaged in Bhagavat Sevaya, and you'll be taken care of. But as soon as you make an offense, you feel a certain way towards a devotee, especially a senior devotee, then you're in trouble. So, this is your secret. Now, let's go to the verse 1:8:25. Vipada santuta shashva
Vipada santuta shashva
tatra jagadguru
Tatra jagadguru
bhavato darshanam yatsyad
Bhavato darshanam yatsya
apunarbhava darshanam
Punarbhava darshanam
vipadaha
Vipadaha
calamities santu let there be
be
taha all shashvat again and again tatra there tatra and there jagadguru O Lord of the universe bhavata your darshanam meeting yat that which shat is apunaha not again bhavadarshanam seeing repetition of birth and death. So if you guys remember, she's glorifying Krishna. Krishna is about to leave for Dwarka because all of the calamities of the Mahabharata war, all the calamities that were going on with the Pandavas, and it's finally been solved. Mahabharata war is over. The Pandavas won. Krishna restored order. He uprooted all of the demonic entities of the earth. And now Krishna is ready to go back to Dwarka and finish up his pastimes. But then Kunti she's lamenting. Oh my God. Here I was praying to you for all of these calamities, praying to you during all of these calamities, but now, because there's no more calamities, I'm going to lose you. So this is what she says. She says, the last verse was, you protected us from a poisoned cake, the great fire, the cannibals, the vicious assembly, and the sufferings in exile, and then the battle itself, and then you saved us from the weapon of Ashvatthama. And now she says, I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Generally, the distressed, the needy, the intelligent, and the inquisitive, who have performed some pious activities, worship or begin to worship the Lord. What's this teaching from? What Prabhupada? This is from Bhagavad Gita. These are the four people who approach the Lord. The distressed, the needy, the intelligent, who ultimately, they realize this is what, life should be about and is about. And then the inquisitive, the curious. So, others who are thriving on misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Supreme due to being misled by the illusory energy. So if you practice adharma, Krishna's got a nice illusory curtain that's going to lead you the wrong way and bewilder you at every step, make you forget what to do. This is this is Maya. You can't defeat it unless you really get the Lord's mercy and you turn to the Lord. So therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Is it okay? Lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation. So, this is so good. Imagine that we can celebrate calamity. All we do is we always, we try and avoid calamity like anything. We try to, make our life in such a way where everything is pleasing to our senses and there's no calamity. But actually, she's praying for calamities over and over again. Why? Because the gravity of the situation is during calamity, then you'll turn to the Lord and you're guaranteed liberation at that point. At least liberation. Freedom from suffering. But who's in the right state of consciousness? Who is so pious and so blessed by the Lord that they can actually see the Lord's hand in all these things? So Prabhupada continues, one who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of nescience. What is nescience? Yes. The opposite of science. Science is knowledge, and nescience is the opposite of science. Can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hooves of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with a place where there is danger in every step. So this is the nature of this material world. There's danger literally at every step. You can go out there, you can get in a car crash very easily. You can go out, be misled. Any type of sangha outside of Bhagavat devotee sangha is going to mislead you into some type of, endeavor that's going to take you away and lead you ultimately to danger and calamity, death itself eventually. So the material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Sounds like a good place to realize the mercy of the Lord. It is. That's why the material world is here. This is our reformatory position, so we realize, we are dependent on the Lord. Let me be dependent on the Lord. Let me live my life completely dependent on the Lord. This is the material world. Less intelligent persons, or us, prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place is itself full of calamities. This is what we're always trying to do. Okay, I want to avoid this calamity, so let me act like this. And we make so many plans. You will not avoid calamities. It's impossible. I've made so many plans this past few years trying to secure this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. And nope, it just doesn't work. It never works. It never seems to work. Everything I plan, why? This place is full of calamities. So instead of adjusting to the calamities, so they have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without trace of calamity. The duty of the sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization, because that is the mission of human life. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called false. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there is no tiger, and there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. In the same way, all calamities of life are said to be dreams. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always a forward step on the path going back to Godhead. What are the 9 devotional services? That's 3. You skipped. Yes, but it's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. Yes, you're serving the feet of the Lord and the feet of the devotees. Archanam, deity worship. Vandanam, prayers. Dasyam, taking the mood of I'm the Lord's servant. Sakyam, establishing also not only servant, you're my only true friend. Sakyam. Atma Nivedanam. Atma, the soul, I'm going to completely surrender it unto you. These are the 9 main processes of bhakti. There's 64 total processes of bhakti. In Nectar of Devotion, this is elaborated. But these are the 9. So if somehow you all came across, you're all doing it right now, or you should be doing it, is Shravanam. Hearing about the Lord, hearing about the Krishna Katha. Shrinvatam Svakatha Krishna. Right? So you're all very fortunate. This is a forward step on the path going back to Godhead. And then we're all engaged in kirtan. Instruments and singing, glorifying, and hopefully you're sharing with your loved ones, sharing with the near and dear ones in your life. This is kirtan. So anyhow, but this is like in a dream. We were talking about dreams yesterday, and in the calamities that happen in your dream. And usually, when you're startled awake by your dreams, it's usually because of some calamity is happening. This is what your life is. All the calamities that you're worrying about in this life. Oh my God, I got to do this. This is timeline, this thing, that thing, and the other thing. Actually, don't worry about that. That's not that you can't acknowledge it, but who do you go to? Who's the solver? What plan can you make? Okay, well, maybe if I adjust, I'll do 800,000. What is it? What do you guys do? 800,000 applications in the next month. That will solve No, it's the Lord. It takes one application. That's all it takes. But does the Lord actually sanction that thing? Sanction your means out of calamity. That should be always what you're doing. How can I go deeper into the Lord? So whether it be, doesn't matter the calamity. There's so many calamities, from financial calamities to relationship calamities to this calamity, that calamity. What should we actually do? It's a question.
Those 9 things.
Yes, the 9 things. Bhakti. Devotion unto the Lord. Acknowledge the Lord and ultimately depend upon the Lord. He's your maintainer. This is it. It's not your plans. We have so many plans. All right, I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do this. Whose plans have worked out? Every year we make so many plans. In the past year, how many plans actually came through? Tanmay, did you plan to be here this year?
Yeah.
How about you, Piyush? How about you, Michael? None of us. Ben, you plan to be back here?
No, sir.
No. And so this is it. The plans don't work. But they were insane. We just completely keep trying to make plans. It doesn't freaking work. Just depend on the Lord. That's what it is. That's all you have to do. So here we go. Next verse. Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribir. Oh, great. Edamana Madapuman. Naivarhatya bidatum vai. Tvam akinchana gocharam. Janma, birth. Aishwarya, opulence. Shruta, education. Shribhi, by the possession of beauty. Edhamana, progressively increasing. Madaha, intoxication. Puman, the human being. Na, never. Eva, ever. Arhati, deserves. Abidatum, to address in feeling. Vai, certainly. Tvam, you. Akinchana gocharam, one who is approached easily by the materially exhausted man. That should be us. We've made so many plans in our life. Craig can probably tell us better than anyone. He's probably made so many plans in his life. But they never seem to work out, and we become materially exhausted. So this is akinchana gocharam. We should surrender unto this person. So she says, my Lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. So if you're materially exhausted, congratulations. You actually get the greatest treasure. For those whose material plans are working out seemingly for them, they're not very fortunate. But if you're materially exhausted, congratulations. One who's on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. So actually this is what most people are doing, trying to, serve the parents, or maybe trying to, secure better birth in the next life, that you get even better parents. Some in the East that would be more popular, but really this is great opulence. I gotta get that money. This is so many are like this. High education. We gotta study the whole thing. And you guys kind of coming out of that a little bit, right? And bodily beauty, gotta get to the gym, gotta get my hair's gotta look like this, everything's gotta look like that, They cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Yes, Craig.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's relative to this. I was told, I never read it anywhere, but I was told that at the time of death, those who are practicing devotees to some degree or whatever, have a choice in our next birth, that we can either be born in an aristocratic family, wealthy, or a devotional family.
I don't think it's like here are your options and press the button that you want.
No, but something of that nature.
Yeah, actually you're guaranteed, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in the 8th chapter, for the yogi who has tried on the path of bhakti yoga or made some advancement but couldn't fully commit or complete, that is their destination. They'll be in a situation where they can continue off with their devotional life. It's not like you necessarily choose, like, all right, well, I want this parent, I want like this, but Krishna will guarantee that you'll be in a situation, and that usually would mean that you have parents that are suitable for you to continue making advancement. So that means you might be born in a Brahmin's family. That might mean you're born in a very wealthy family where you don't have to worry about so many financial considerations. So that is a fact. But that's for the yogi who's couldn't complete the work in this life. But no problem. We all might be like that. Michael, for instance, might be like that. For him to come in your family where you're giving him Krishna consciousness to some degree, definitely. Michael must have done this in the past to get where he is so young. So like this is how it works. But first, he's easily approached by the materially exhausted. So who here is exhausted with your material endeavors? Congratulations. Actually, you can get Krishna. You know how I know you're materially exhausted is you're all here. You wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be approaching Krishna if you weren't materially exhausted. Only the materially exhausted person approaches Krishna. But the person trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, they can't approach with sincere feeling because they have these material goals. They still have faith in this other thing. They still have faith in the material nature. It's going to make me happy. Let me just make my plan. I got it. Nope. But let them go. Let them go. Let them do that. Not us, though. Not us. Prabhupada says, purport, being materially advanced means taking birth in an aristocratic family and possessing great wealth, and education, and attractive personal beauty. All materialistic men are mad after possessing all these material opulences. And this is known as the advancement of material civilization. But the result is that by possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up, intoxicated by such temporary possessions. Consequently, such materially puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing him feelingly. Oh Govinda, oh Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in this statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency. But there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. Not just, like this, right? Do we know this? All of our japa chanters? Yes. There's a quality to the feeling. Why are you approaching the Lord? Is the heart? Are you actually approaching the Lord? Or are you worried about the material progress? Respectable parentage, increasing your opulence, making your education more suitable, making your bodily beauty more suitable? Those cannot approach. So that will lead to offensive chanting. But with no exaggeration, just once sincerely calling out the name of the Lord. You're not even able to commit so many sins that can't be purified by just once doing that. So anyway, a helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. Therefore, the four principles of material advancement, namely high parentage, 2, good wealth, 3, high education, and 4, attractive beauty, are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. So if you've got these wonderful, say your parents have got all kinds of wealth and materially advanced, or you yourself have good wealth, or you yourself have some great education, or you're very, very beautiful in the material world, and you have to work to get these things, to maintain these things, They're, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. So do not chase them. You don't need some beauty regimen or parental regimen or wealth regimen or education regimen. You need the Lord. And you need to depend upon the Lord. If you want to educate yourself on the Lord and His teachings. If you want to work towards anything, work towards making advancement for spiritual wealth. If you really want to honor the high parentage thing, serve your seniors in devotional life. They're like your parents. Actually, they may be your real parents. Michael's very fortunate. He can consider Craig his real parent because he's guiding him on the eternal process and has guided him on the eternal process. And 4, attractive beauty. I got to get to the gym, I got to get to this, I got to get to the, like this. I keep my body in health. Last night I was up late and I did a little yoga routine and I listened to 2 Prabhupada lectures. The yoga routine did one thing for my body, it was fine. But the Prabhupada lectures, that was the thing. That was the thing that really stuck with me. So no problem. Offer whatever's there and offer it to the Lord. The material covering of the pure spirit soul is an external feature, as much as fever is an external feature of the unhealthy body. The general process is to decrease the degree of the fever and not to aggravate it by maltreatment. Sometimes it is seen that spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished. This is no discouragement. On the other hand, such impoverishment is a good sign, as much as the falling of temperature is a good sign. The principle of life should be to decrease the degree of material intoxication, which leads one to be more and more illusioned about the aim of life. Grossly illusioned persons are quite unfit for entrance into the kingdom of God. So pretty much if you're succeeding in all your material endeavors, you're not succeeding in any real eternal endeavor. So don't chase these things. Please don't believe me. You can believe Prabhupada, but actually believe Queen Kunti, because she's being inspired by Krishna.
Shows the power of Maya.
Oh yeah, the power of Maya. She's always
Well, it's just
tempting.
the opposite of what we should be doing.
Yes, but we.
For our own happiness, but we're chasing these other things, thinking that's going to make us.
Yes, this is our very unfortunate situation. Holy crap! What a purport. I don't know. Let's go for it. In the text 27. Namo kinchana vitaya nivritta guna vrittaye atma ramaya shantaya kaivalya pataye namaha namaha. All obeisances unto you. Akinchana vitaya, unto the property of the materially impoverished. Nivritta, completely transcendental to the actions of the material modes. Guna, material modes. Vrittaye, affection. Atma aramaya, one who is self-satisfied. Shantaya, the most gentle. Kaivalya pataye, unto the master of the monists. Namaha, bowing down. And you guys remember we did these verses with Maharaj, this past verse and now this verse. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle, and are master of the monists. Kaivalya pataye. And the monists have received a certain liberation. So a living being, Prabhupada is saying, a living being is finished as soon as there is nothing to possess. Therefore, a living being cannot be, in the real sense of the term, a renouncer. A living being renounces something for gaining something more valuable. A student sacrifices his childish proclivities to gain better education. A servant gives up his job for a better job. Similarly, a devotee renounces the material world not for nothing, but for something tangible and spiritual value. Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and others gave up their worldly pomp and prosperity for the sake of the service of the Lord. They were big men in the worldly sense. The Goswamis were ministers in the government service of Bengal, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was the son of a big zamindar, or like a landowner, of his time. But they left everything to gain something superior to what they previously possessed. The devotees are generally without material prosperity, but they have a very secret treasure house in the lotus feet of the Lord. There is a nice story about Srila Sanatana Goswami. I've told this story a few times. He had a touchstone with him. A touchstone, you could literally touch a touchstone to any piece of metal and it turns to gold. It's like a mystical type of stone. And actually, Sanatana Goswami, he had access to one. But a needy man took it. Well, why? He had a touchstone with him, and this stone was left in a pile of refuse. So Sanatana Goswami had this touchstone, but he didn't see any need for it, so he kept it in the garbage. So a needy man, the story goes, he was a Brahmin, he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. And he actually was so devoted to Lord Shiva that Lord Shiva appeared to him. And Lord Shiva says, tell me, I'll give you anything you want. And the reason the Brahmin worshipped is because he became so poor that his wife said, please do bhajan unto Shiva so that we can have some type of basic needs. So the Brahmin, he said, I want you to give me the most valuable thing. So Lord Shiva says, okay, you must go to Vrindavan and you must find this saint. His name is Sanatana Goswami. He will give you the most valuable thing. So the Brahmin didn't know what that most valuable thing is. So he went to Sanatana Goswami, and so he thought it must be a touchstone. So he says, he meets Sanatana Goswami. He says, you have a touchstone, don't you? He's like, oh yes, I know where the touchstone is. It's out there in the rubbish pile. Go get it. Go find it. So he goes and he touches it, and he sees some piece of metal, iron, turned to gold. So he's like jumping in glee. And he said, thank you so much, Swami, thank you so much. And he bows to Sanatana Goswami, and then he goes back. He's on his way back, but then he's thinking. He says, why would he keep that in the garbage? Why did he make me go to the garbage to find the touchstone? And he actually, this principle, one only renounces something if he has something better.
Sure.
So what does he say? Okay, he must have something better than the touchstone. Well, let me go back. A little greed came. Well, this thing could turn anything to gold, but if he has something better than this, I should go find out what that is. Lord Shiva said he has the thing. He didn't say it was a touchstone, so he went back. And then Sanatana Goswami, he says, okay, do you really want the most valuable thing? And he says, yes. He says, come with me. And he takes him out to the Yamuna. And he says, take this touchstone and throw it in the middle of the Yamuna. And he's like, what? He's like, do you have faith that I have something better than the touchstone? And he says, yes. And he took it and he threw the touchstone in the middle of the Yamuna. So then, Sanatana Goswami, he says to them, all right, I will give you the most valuable thing. Are you ready? You have it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the secret treasure house. Why? This is approaching the Lord. This is the real treasure. Any amount of gold, it doesn't matter. Actually, in Kali Yuga, all the gold, it says to be, this is where Kali will reside, where there is gold, where there is illicit sex life, where there is animal slaughter, meat eating, where there is intoxication, where there is gambling or trying to do cheating types of things with money, like the stock market, or who knows, maybe your local corporation or something like this. This is where Kali is going to be influenced. But you have the process, the boat. Just call upon the name of the Lord in all circumstances. This is real treasure. This is how the Goswamis, this is how our Acharyas, they could all leave all kinds of worldly opulence. Even myself, I'm learning just little bits of things I'm leaving. I'm making some little advancement, and I'm realizing, oh, there's a better thing here. Not acknowledging, not chasing this worldly thing. I have financial troubles too. We're in contract with 2 houses and only have money enough to buy 1 house. I don't know how this is going to get solved, actually. I have an idea, I have a plan, but actually Krishna seems to also be making my one plan not work.
What's it saying? If you want to make God laugh, tell him you would.
Exactly. So what nonsense making these plans? But really, I could go out there and I can make all kinds of, all right, now we got to get to work, we got to do this, but no. I have faith that that's not going to solve the problem. No matter how much money I can accumulate by this regimen of just working for some weeks or something like that. It's all up to the Lord. And actually we saw yesterday that one of our congregation members gave a very generous donation towards that problem. It doesn't solve the problem, but it's like, wow, you see Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy can come in. Krishna wants these 2 properties. I know he does, which is why we went for it, but at the same time, still don't know how it's going to work out. That's just my own personal problem I'm sharing with you. It's a calamity, actually, so to say. And I have a timeline, just like you guys. Especially our Indian students. The government puts a timeline on you guys. I also have a timeline. Lest I'll lose the contract, lose $2,500 and the whole thing. But Krishna has some type of plan here. I know that's why he arranged it this way. He sent us this nice devotee realtor, Shivadas, and he helped set up the whole thing. We had just enough money to get the realtor to agree, even though they didn't know that the money was actually going to be used for this house. So anyhow, this is my personal problems. I'm just airing my, not dirty laundry, but my laundry to you guys. But I trust. I know Krishna has a plan here. So we'll see. But you can give up anything material if you have the spiritual. You can give up anything. It was a big risk we kind of took. Kind of giving up all types of material wealth that would literally have taken us years to accumulate. But no problem. What?
It was a game.
It was a gamble, but at the same time, it was like Krishna pushing me every step of the way, and I said, "All right."
You're buying an asset, Prabhu.
What?
It's transformed. It's not something that you bought a car that's degraded in value. It's always appreciated in value. So
It could, yes, it should,
is.
it should like that.
Land never goes out of value.
Yeah. Well, but if you have to pay taxes and you can't utilize, then it'll hurt or something. But anyway, I trust. I have a feeling that Krishna has something available, but no problem. We're gonna see. Maybe I'm just supposed to lose it. That's another thing. That's also a total option. But anyhow, the devotees are generally without material prosperity. They have a secret treasure house in the lotus feet of the Lord. There's a nice story about Srila Sanatana Goswami. Okay, we did that. He had the touchstone. A needy man took it, but later on wondered why the valuable stone was kept in such a neglected place. He therefore asked him for the most valuable thing, and then he was given the holy name of the Lord. Akinchana means one who has nothing to give materially. A factual devotee or a Mahatma does not give anything material to anyone because he has already left all material assets. That's why, people would criticize the devotees. Well, why aren't you building hospitals? Why aren't you setting up these food programs? Why are you making them come and hear spiritual? Why won't you just give them food? All these things. Because actually, by increasing the material assets, becoming like a very materially charitable person, let me give your health better, things like that, you're actually not really helping anybody. You're just furthering them into the material thing. But if you make them come and listen to a spiritual program, and then you give them food, or like that, then actually you can really help them. The devotee has nothing materially to give. Someone comes to me for money, I'm like, I don't really have it. Actually, I'm many thousands of dollars in the negative. So no problem. But the thing with the devotees is we can give spiritual treasure. I don't have to do anything. I just have to read Prabhupada's books. This is my kind of job. I get up there and I read Prabhupada's books, and then maybe I talk about how I personally experienced that already. That's really all. It's all there. It's all there. This is the real wealth. You're holding it in your hands. And yet we make so many plans for anything else other than the very thing that's in your hands. You have access to Krishna. You have access to the acharyas. You have access to the Krishna consciousness movement, the holy name. You could chant the holy name. The one who realizes this, they will just do this. They'll chant. Haridas Thakur chanted 196 rounds a day. 196 rounds. Why? It's not like he had to make some false endeavor, because he actually tasted it. Now we're asked to chant 16 rounds. Just 16. Do we have the taste? If you can't do 16, maybe 8, maybe 4. Whatever you can do now, all right. I'll do one more than that. And then so on. At least get to Prabhupada's recommendation. He said that's the only way we can factually get to the human form of life. Is minimum giving 16 rounds to Krishna. But he said with feeling in the past purport. With feeling. Not just I'm an expert counter. It's not just about it being an expert counter. It's with feeling. Maybe you can only do, instead of trying to chant 100 rounds in the day with no feeling, maybe you can try and chant 10 rounds with feeling. Maybe you can get to 16 with feeling. That would be nice. Okay? Yeah. So like this. Let's try and finish this. What was the last thing I said? This specific example is given for the neophyte devotees, just to convince them that material hankerings and spiritual advancement go ill together. Unless one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. A spiritual master like Srila Sanatana Goswami, although personally able to see everything as spiritual, set this example for us only because we have no spiritual vision. So this is why the Lord's Leelas take place, to teach us very valuable spiritual lessons. There's no use doing any material endeavor. There's no use. You should do only spiritual endeavors, because anything that exists is actually related to the Lord. Anything. Like where I was talking to you guys about my house and money seemingly problems. If I can use these for the Lord's, they're perfect. The Lord, they're perfect. If Krishna finds that they can't be used, he'll reject it. So like that. This should be any endeavor you do, and it should be, all right, because I want to use this for the Lord. That's it. You got a car, use it for the Lord. You got a son, use it for the Lord. You've got, some talent or tendency or proclivity, maybe in music, maybe in intelligence, use it for the Lord. Otherwise, it's useless. Your material advancement and spiritual advancement, you choose one. Either you try and materially advance and you become spiritually dead, or you spiritually advance. And the material things, you reject it. It's like stool. I don't want to be playing with stool. No problem. So anyway, me and Tanmay are immature because we laugh at poop jokes. Advancement of material vision or material civilization is a great stumbling block for spiritual advancement. Actually, I think we're going to end there, and we'll continue on tomorrow, because it's getting late. I actually have, unfortunately, I do have a plan. My plan is to serve my devotee wife and my devotee child in. We're actually going to find out the gender of the child today, which is kind of exciting. Hopefully it's a nice little son who could play that little... But maybe it's going to be a nice little girl who also have to play that little mridanga. What? Yeah, there's some really good, nice women mridanga players. But I'm personally hoping for a son, because I want to bond with him over these things. And he being my little buddy.
Father bonds better with girls. They are very...
Well, the attachment is definitely there, deeper for the father. That's another thing why I want it to be a son, because I really don't want to get super attached to this little girl and then I have to go give her to a man one day. In Kali Yuga, to find a suitable man.
Difficult to be on the side of the pool, right?
Yes. So, after seeing what my wife's father had to deal with in her giving her to me, I'm like, oh no. So anyway, like this.
Yeah, I will just conclude. There's a saying in India: her father only cries when her little daughter departs. Like Vidai, it's called in India.
Yes, this is very much attachment, and actually the daughter takes the nature of the father, and the son takes the nature of the mother. There's another reason why we need a son. My wife has much better qualities than I have, so so like this.
Don't have any desires for otherwise that Prabhu does.
Yeah.
That is.
Well, we can't stop desire, but what we can do is we can have desires for service. And I would like, let's say it's a son. If it's a daughter, no problem. We can do the same thing. But I would like a son who could also make a lot of spiritual advancement and learn these things and help and teach a lot of people. A girl can do it as well, no problem. But
it's natural for the father to want to
oh yeah. No, I totally.
I'm grateful.
I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna. I'll keep going with family life until the son is there. So we'll see though. Anyway, thank you guys. Hare Krishna. Please eat nicely. We have plenty of prasadam. I think Michael is doing something with the prasadam now.